So we're now in 1970. Cruel Sister, a new producer, Bill Leader, very much from a folk tradition.
Yes, Bill Leader actually produced John and Bert's first albums. And John was leaning more towards traditional things. I mean, Danny and Terry weren't against it because it was experimental for them. Well, Danny was actually now quite in high demand with other folk groups. They'd seen our success and they wanted a bit of it themselves. Bert wanted to do Jack Orion, which is the whole of one side. But that's a really heavy thing, a whole of one side.
Yes.
I think it's a fantastic track.
Jack Orion was as good a fiddler.
I don't think we actually played it live very often. I think Bert used to do a shorter version on his solo gigs.
How did the decision to do an album of traditional songs actually come about? And was it because you had a new folk producer, or...?
No, I think Bill was chosen because John was becoming very heavily influenced by medieval music and really getting into it. And although he obviously had his own solo albums at the same time, to have a band play those traditional songs is what he wanted. And Bert was quite happy with it. And, well, everyone was happy with it because we loved the songs.
How did you select the songs for that album?
Well, I used to go to Cecil Sharp House and do some research. John did some research, and Bert with Jack Orion. You come together and say, how about this, and if it worked, it worked, so it went on the album. I mean, there were some songs that didn't quite, I can't remember what they are, but they weren't, not everything we tried went on an album or was ever played.
Oh, I see. So you had actually a selection of songs and you chose the best ones, which would
we say, how about this one, how about that one,
Lord Franklin, that's... is that something that you dug up from Cecil Sharp House?
No, John brought that in because he was quite intrigued by the story of Lord Franklin.
The fate of Franklin, no tongue can tell. Lord Franklin alone.
They're pretty sure that Lord Franklin was killed and was eaten. Well, there was nothing else to eat.
No.
Oh, that sounds flippant. I don't mean it like that. It's just the story is amazing about someone who they tried before, someone who would actually want to go through the Northwest Passage and get through, and failed.
What was the process for singing a song like that for you?
Well, John was saying, I just did this harmony and I did this supposedly ethereal harmony, going around. I mean, obviously the story, but the melody was the thing that attracted me and the harmony to it.
The song about the maid, that's very much a showcase for you, isn't it?
I am a maid that's deep in love, but yes, I can complain.
I just love history, and I love the idea of history. I probably would have been the lowest of the lowest maid anywhere, but I love the history of stuff. So, I mean, Cruel Sister, I get really emotional about that. And I've since found out that the Cruel Sister, there are versions in Russia, in Hungary, all over Europe.
Really?
Yeah, there are versions of that story about, one sister killing another one and making,
These songs seem to strike a real emotional chord with you.
Yeah, they do, because it's always the poor woman that gets it in the neck.
Oh, sister, will you go with me? Lay the band to the bonny broom.
Had the previous commercial success given you kind of free rein and license to do an album like Cruel Sister? Because it was, I think, with hindsight and at the time, it was quite a diversion for Pentangle.
To me, it became like a natural progression, just trying different things. After that, I think it became quite difficult to get material together because we were on the road so much. Listening back now, I feel sad because John's not with us, Bert's not with us.
Sure.
That is quite sad.
Was Cruel Sister a happy time?
Yeah, we were actually working a lot. I mean, I wanted to spend more time at home. We all did, I think. Joe just had us on the road nearly all the time. I'm really sort of a homebody, really. I like to be at home with the family. The world is just changing, it's horrible. I mean, it was all then. I look back now, I can't believe that I didn't realise how much it was changing then.
1971, Reflection. An album with Bill Leader, the last one.
I wasn't all that happy in the recording studio because I didn't always understand the process. I mean, to be honest, I was never really happy with what I did. I always thought I should have done better. I should have done this or should have done that. But it's not until you hear it back afterwards that you realise that. So I was never very comfortable. The funny thing is, now I love being in the studio. I'm really comfortable in the studio now.
Was Bill someone who sort of held your hand metaphorically in the studio?
He would tell us when he thought it wasn't right, which was fair enough. But John and Bert were very comfortable. I think we all were.
Is it fair to say that much more than the previous albums that we've talked about, that recording Reflection was quite a complicated experience?
The music wasn't complicated. It was the personalities, because of the personal things that were going on in various members' lives at the time. It became difficult for them. I quite like that album, actually, Reflection. Well, I like all of them, really.
I think there's real joy in this album too, in the listening experience. Songs such as Wedding Dress. You are at your most joyful on Wedding Dress.
Well, John brought that one in, yeah. That's a Peggy Seeger song.
Yes.
I met Moya Brennan on a something that we did a few years ago in France, and she said, I love that song, would you mind if I recorded it with the Marys? And I said, no, of course not. And she did a lovely version with the 4 Marys. That means more to me, in a way, that somebody who I admire so much and has such a wonderful voice would actually want to do it.
I mean, also, Will the Circle Be Unbroken? That is you as a band branching into Americana. You know, it's a sort of gospel song. Americana hadn't been invented, but here you are.
I think John brought that one in as well. He wanted to do that. I mean, it's a funeral march.
Will the circle be unbroken? By and by, Lord, by.
We were famous for doing the doom and the gloom songs.
But were you listening to a lot of American music and gospel music at that time, or was this just a one-off?
No, I mean, we listened to everything. I listened to everything. I know we played this in Los Angeles, a place called the Troubadour. Joe signed a contract to say we would play there every time we went back.
Oh.
3 sets a night on a Friday and a Saturday, my God. And I know that Crosby, Stills and Nash came in and watched us. And I loved what they did. I mean, I listened to all kinds of things.
Tell me about the title track.
Oh, Reflection, I wrote that.
Yeah. What a song.
I
And
know.
what performances.
Well, it's the ivory tower thing, get people getting up there and not being part of what's down here and just, you know, it's people being a bit adrift.
You see your own reflection on the other side, on the other side.
So, 1972, Solomon's Seal, the final album by the classic lineup. This one is self-produced with the help of John Wood.
It's really hard to produce an album. It really is, because you're your own worst enemy. Because everybody's got different views about things, but it felt right. I think we just wanted to have a go ourselves, but John was really, really good. He was really helpful, lovely.
Was there a sense while you were making this album that it was the last?
No, we didn't think it was the end. It was more difficult touring. When you're doing an album, you're going to have to pull together anyway. We did actually tell each other if there was something not quite right. Well, you have to, because you can always tell. Why aren't you happy? What's the matter? You know, you do know.
But you were still pushing boundaries, because I think there's mouth organ or harmonica on Lady of Carlisle, isn't there? You were still...
Yeah, Bert was playing banjo. Yeah. I think somebody gave Bert the banjo and he thought, oh, I'll have a go at that.
Those 2 soldiers stood gazing around, and for the space of a half an hour, that young lady lay speechless on the ground. And when she did recover,
We were still, even then, still experimenting.
Yes, and you were still pushing boundaries, 5 albums in.
I mean, it sounds so simple, but we were just doing and playing the music that we liked. We had to like it. We had to feel part of it. You know, it's very important that the music is all, really.
look at Sally Free and Easy.
Sally free under haze. That should be mine. Took a sailor's love.
Cyril Tawney wrote Sally Free and Easy. It's a great melody. It really is. It's beautifully flowing, and Bert sings it great.
But your backing vocals to Bert's lead, they're extraordinary, aren't they? That's sort of Pentangle in excelsis, I think.
It's a nice thing to sing because you don't have to remember the words. Oh God, I wish I wasn't so.
Back on Solomon's Seal, were you frustrated about the reaction to it, or were you
No.
just not thinking about that?
Didn't think about it. It was another album, then you went out on the road to promote that album. As you go on the road, some songs fall by the wayside, and some songs, people always wanted to hear Cruel Sister, and always requested for things from previous albums. Things always change, things are always moving.
Did you relish playing those songs live?
Yes.
Because it sounded almost made for an audience to hear live, though.
I like singing.
Yeah.
It's very therapeutic. Everyone should try singing, you really should. Even if you don't think you can sing, you might be able to.
So how did the lineup which made these brilliant albums on this box set come to its end?
Joe Lustig had this, the divide and rule. He would say something like, oh, John said this, or Bert said that. And then you'd think, no, I didn't say that. And it was like, And things were beginning to get a bit, It was New Year's Eve. And Bert rang me up, and it was like just going in next year. And he said, I'm leaving the band. And I said, what's up? And he said, I can't take the band anymore. I need to be on my own. I think he felt frustrated about getting his own music out. It took its toll. It everyone was working too much. We just wanted a rest. So I rang John, and I said, I've just had a call from Bert. He's folding the band. He said he can't fold the band. The band will continue. So I said, well, look, just let's wait till the dust settles, And that was it. Bert said he would leave the band. And then within a few weeks, John said, I'm setting up a new band. Do you want to be the girl singer? I went, yeah, all right. And that became the John Renbourn Band. But that became far more traditional after that. It was sad. It was a shock. Our hearts weren't in it so much. And I don't think I realised that until Bert said, right, that's it. I can't take any more. Because he was a very quiet man. Later on, when we reformed, he and I became very close, and with his wife as well, and the last couple of years of his life. I carried on working with John.
Of course.
Way, way on. Our friendship goes back a long way.
Looking back collectively at these albums that we've talked about here today, how do you view them overall?
It was a part of my life that was very exciting. One of my nephews said to me, I'd love to have been born in the time you were to hear all those different bands. So that, and I said, yeah, it wasn't bad actually. It was pretty good.
Do you hear Pentangle today in other people or other movements or what?
I'm told, and I do hear, to me, it's having Danny and Terry, a jazz rhythm section, opened up vistas, opened up so much, and actually opened up a lot of music to other people, like folk people. There wasn't anybody around at that time, so that is the legacy, that there was nobody else at that time. We were very lucky to have all the influences that we did, people like Davy Graham, and Indian music and all those different influences that everybody tried to absorb. It was a very special time.
Do you get musicians and bands coming up to you now and saying, yeah, Pentangle, they're real?
Oh yeah, I'm involved in something at the moment. There's a saxophonist, a jazz saxophonist called Sean Khan. He loves the music of that era, and he asked me to be on the album, so I'm on there doing 2 Pentangle songs. And there's 2 lovely young girl singers, jazz singers, beautiful voices. They're doing John Martin songs, there's a Steel Eye song, there's a Fairport song, Nick Drake. And it's such a pleasure to meet these people, these young people that are so heavily influenced. And they know who I am, which amazes me.